where do I begin? Okay, so this past week and a half has been insane. So yeah, I have not been in this office for a week and a half, and to say the least, if you guys know how much I love my office, I really miss my office, and honestly, I miss my workflow. I love what I do so much, so when I was able to sneak in work, I was just like, oh, I want to work, I want to be back to my normal routine. But let me tell you, this trip was just absolutely so amazing. I got to see so many things, go on so many cool hikes, and I got to spend some quality time with my mom and her dog Buddy, who you will see all over the place, let me tell you. And we just had a blast. So this trip really came to fruition a few months ago when my mom found out that she was moving to the outskirts of Phoenix, Arizona with my stepdad and their dog. She had to find a way to get her car out there and her dog out there, and obviously her out there, and she didn't want to fly because obviously her car and her dog. So she said that she was going to be driving cross country. Since my work is remote, I offered to go with her really so that I could take the trip of a lifetime. Even though Alex and I really want to do this trip and kind of live on the road lifestyle in the future, it was still definitely worth it to go on this road trip with her. So it all started on Sunday when I had to travel from Rochester, New York down to Williamsport, Pennsylvania to meet up with my mom, and then my mom drove me from there down to York, Pennsylvania, where we packed up what was left of our house, whatever I could fit in the car, honestly, put our dog in the car, and we went down to Washington, D.C. to visit my sister for the night. The next day, we woke up, ate breakfast, packed the car, and on the road we went.
Bye, Atticus. Bye, big guy.
We were originally planning on starting the trip on Monday and going from York, Pennsylvania down to Wytheville, Virginia. We planned each day so that it would be 6 hours in the car, and we planned to stop every 2 hours. We wanted to make sure that we were really honestly enjoying the road trip and that we were seeing something in every single state.
So cute.
The first day, our plans were a little bit goofy because our original plan was to leave from York and get down to Wytheville, which would have been about 6 hours. But since we had already started in the DC area, we were already closer than we expected. So our first stop was actually the George Washington National Forest, where we had lunch.
He's very good.
Then after lunch, we wanted to go for a hike, and I found this hike that had waterfalls, and it was only supposed to be, I think it was 1.3 miles maybe. Honestly, it wasn't that long of a hike, and I was excited for it. It was our first hike of the trip. We were in the Appalachian Mountains. I thought it was gonna be really cool. And we get there and we see the first waterfall, no big deal.
Come on, my guy.
Continue on our walk, only to realize that it was a ton of steps, and I mean a lot of steps right beside a waterfall. Everything was wet, and sadly we couldn't do that with the dog, so we ended up not being able to do that hike. We went back in the car and just ended up getting on the road.
We have made it to our first hotel, so we are actually in Wytheville, Virginia for the night. I'm currently taking Buddy to the bathroom, but we're gonna explore this little town, hang out. I'm gonna try to get some work done, and that's really it for the day. We've made it to our first location. Day one complete.
So Tuesday, this is where we did our most intense hikes. We did 2 hikes this day, and the first one started out at Hungry Mother State Park. We ended up actually hiking a peak that was over 3,000 feet in elevation, which was so awesome. And honestly, as we were doing it, I wasn't sure if we were gonna make it because it was a 3.6 mile hike. It was really long, so it was 1.8 to the top and then 1.8 back down. And I wasn't sure if we were gonna make it. It seemed like Buddy was getting tired, my mom was getting tired, and it was elevation getting up there. We ended up up making it to the top, and it was absolutely worth it. It was gorgeous. We found out that it was actually the highest peak in the state park, so it was really cool to do that, and hiked our way back down. And honestly, back down is always such a breeze compared to going up. It definitely did not feel like we did the same amount going down as going up. So after that, we got in the car and we headed to Knoxville, Tennessee. For Knoxville, Tennessee, I looked up diners, drive-ins, and dives, and I actually found the second restaurant to ever be featured on diners, drive-ins, and dives, and that was called Pizza Palace. So we went there for lunch, and it was like a Sonic version of pizza. It was kind of odd. So we ate pizza and onion rings in the car, and then we got back on the road to our next state park. So we ended up going to Rock Island State Park, and it was actually with another huge waterfall, and we pulled up and you could just hear the waterfall. It was so loud, but we had to hike to it, obviously. So we actually did most of the hike beforehand before we saw the real big, massive waterfall at the end. And it was just so gorgeous, so cool, and just the noise itself was just amazing. So that was our next trail for the day, and then we ended up going to Dixon, Tennessee for the night. We arrived at our next hotel. I am currently working, and I am honestly so ready to go to bed. I'm freaking exhausted. It has been a long day. We changed time zones today, so it is currently 8:51, but in my mind it is 9:51. I'm exhausted, but I'm trying to get some work done, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the next day. Then starting on Wednesday, we went to our first state park, which was the Natchez Trace State Park. Yeah. So we walked along a little lake at the beginning, and then there were a few cute little bridges that we had to cross, and it was a fun, easy little trail to start the day. And then when we got back in the car, we ended up going to Memphis, Tennessee for lunch, and let me tell you, we looked up another diners, drive-ins, and dives, and we ended up finding the Cozy Corner as a barbecue joint in Memphis. Oh my goodness. It's really close to the highway, freaking delicious. It was the best. They were known for their barbecue bologna, which neither of us got, and their barbecue spaghetti. So we tried their barbecue spaghetti as a side, and then we also got our own sandwiches, and they were freaking phenomenal. So after our lunch, we got back on the road, and we headed into Arkansas. We stopped at the Petit State Park. That was actually probably both of our favorites out of all the state parks because, I mean, So we pulled up and they had this little cabin there that was actually part of the history, and the second person to ever live in that actually was a family with 9 kids. 5 of them were born in that teeny tiny little cabin, no medicine, nothing, just natural birth in that cabin, and it was just kind of cool to look at that and realize how people used to live in such tiny spaces, like 11 people in that cabin. Insane. So then we went on the trail.
Wow,
This is a cool walk.
And on our drive out, we ended up seeing this overlook and just...
Look how cool this is. Wow.
And really, that was it for Arkansas for the day. We ended up spending the night, and then the next day we headed into Oklahoma.
We are in hotel number 3 with this lovely lime green wall. It's amazing. But we are about ready to go to dinner, and then we're just gonna hang out for the night. So we slept on kind of the border of Arkansas and Oklahoma. So the next day, our first stop was actually in Oklahoma, and it was the Sequoyah National Wildlife Refuge. It was just an easy, simple little paved trail, and I think it was actually along the Arkansas River. I think it was along the Arkansas River. We could see all of this stuff.
We did that trail, and then we got back on the road for most of our road trip that day, where we headed to Oklahoma City.
For lunch in Oklahoma City, and I found this little park that includes some history. So we're checking it out.
The statues were massive, and the attention to detail was just insane. And then we got back on the road to head to Foss State Park. We ended up not doing a hike, but we went to Foss State Park, and we just kind of sat there and looked at the water and just kind of enjoyed the scene. But I have to say my favorite part about Oklahoma was just the country land. It was just so flat and you just saw cows roaming and horses roaming and it was just so gorgeous. I just loved looking out the window and looking at the land in Oklahoma before we ended up heading to Texas. So we ended up going to Amarillo, Texas for the night, and we actually stayed in the outskirts of Amarillo, not really near too much. We asked the hotel receptionist for some recommendations for dinner and they actually gave us 2 chain restaurants, which we didn't want to go to a chain. You can get a chain restaurant anywhere, and they gave us 1 local restaurant and they were like, it's over the top Texas, like it's gonna be insane. And the funny thing is we had seen billboards for it probably 40+ miles beforehand. They kept having billboards for the 72-ounce free steak. Basically, if you eat the steak, you get it for free. And we just kept seeing signs and signs and signs for it, and then that's the one that the hotel recommended, and we were like, well, we are going to get ourselves a 72-ounce steak. But we didn't, don't worry. Neither of us could eat a 72-ounce steak, but this place was just... It was Texas. I mean, it was like the epitome of what people think of Texas. That was this restaurant.
This is hotel number 4. This is Thursday, yeah. So we're in Amarillo, Texas right now. And we are actually in the nicest hotel that we have stayed in so far. It is brand new. I think they said that it's like a year old. So I'm gonna work tonight. It is 8:54. I've yet to work today. So I have to get some work done. I have to shower. And that's really it for Thursday. So see you guys tomorrow where we're gonna go to New Mexico. Oh geez, the wind.
It's going that way.
Okay, so let me tell you, I knew what the Cadillac Ranch was. I had seen it before, and once I found it and saw that it was close to our highway, I was like, okay, we're just gonna stop here. I showed my mom a picture of it, and we were like, we're doing this. So I don't think she really knew what she was in for because it was just 10 cars jammed into the ground with spray paint cans just all over the place, and it was just kind of in the middle of a field. I mean, it was hysterical and absolutely amazing. I mean, I am a huge lover of art, so when we got there, I was just so in love. And all of the stops we had done before that were state parks. So this was the first, I guess you could say, like real attraction, kind of like touristy attraction besides the state park. So it's actually an art installation, but it was so cool, it was funny, and I'm so glad that we stopped. So from there, we ended up heading into New Mexico, and we stopped at the Santa Rosa Lake State Park. From there, we ended up heading to the Blue Water Lake State Park, but honestly, let me just tell you, this road trip through New Mexico, it was vast. There were not a lot of stops along the way, and the terrain was just so different compared to what we had seen before. Before, we were in Oklahoma, we were in Arkansas, we were in Tennessee, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland, New York. I mean, let's be honest, we were in a lot of states. But New Mexico was just so different. It was like there was a hard shift in what the land looked like, and it was so cool just to sit there and look at all of it because it's not something that I'm used to in this lovely upstate New York. We ended up driving to Blue Water Lake State Park, which was actually a really nice state park. We did one little trail. Which we ended up kind of getting lost on and kind of made our own trail because it didn't really work. And then we got back on the road for the day.
This is our last night in a hotel. I can't believe it is already Friday. The trip is almost over. Oh, tomorrow we'll be in Arizona. We entered a new time zone today and we're gonna enter another one tomorrow. So we are, we're moving. So yeah, I have got to do some work tonight. It's actually the earliest we have ever gotten in. And then tomorrow's our last day. And that's it for this trip. It's gone so fast. It's gone so fast.
And the first place we stopped was Winslow, Arizona. Now my mom wanted to stop there because if you know the song Take It Easy, it says standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona, and they actually have 2 statues of people there. So we ended up getting there and we saw a little bit ahead of time when we were driving into Winslow, there was this sign that said event ahead, and then when we were supposed to turn left, the road was closed because they had a classic car show going on. Classic car show. Okay, this was by far the best part of Winslow, Arizona. I mean, the people standing there on the corner of Winslow, Arizona, it's just kind of 2 statues statues, nothing too exciting. But when we got there, they had that whole area around the two people standing on the corner, you know, filled with cars. And really, that was it for Winslow, Arizona. Then our next stop was actually in Sedona, but my mom wanted to go down this scenic drive, and lucky enough that it was actually the way that the highway was taking us. So when we were on this scenic drive, my mom had already gone there. It's actually called the Coconino, I think. Yeah, it's called the Coconino National Forest. We ended up driving through, and there was this overlook that my mom had been to before. So it's actually the Oak Creek Canyon. We ended up stopping there and looking out. Now my mom had previously been to Winslow, she had been to that overlook, and she had been to Sedona before. So really this was just kind of first time thing for me. We stopped at Sedonuts and we got donuts, and then we went for a little trail in Sedona, and we got lost.
Look how big these cacti are. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is gorgeous here.
Sedona, gorgeous, gorgeous. And then from there, we ended up just going to Phoenix, Arizona. And now I am here. I am so thankful to be back in this office, to be shooting videos with you guys. Honestly, I'm so excited to edit this video. I cannot wait to view all of the stuff that I shot and just kind of relive this trip. But I am back. You guys can expect videos and content, and honestly, Instagram stories as normal, because my Instagram stories are kind of all over the place. And I will see you guys later in another video. I absolutely love you. Thank you so much. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you guys back here for another one really soon. Bye guys. No. Yes. No. But I think you were lying. 2 lakes in New Mexico. Cactuses, cacti, cactuses, whatever. Coconino, but they're cool looking. Fun fact for you guys, Arizona and Hawaii are the only 2 states that do not participate in daylight savings time. Take it easy. That's not gonna be included.